It's one of the big games because whenever Patrick Mahomes is involved in a game, it's a big game. They're taking on the Broncos. We got the Saints and the Falcons. It feels like we just saw them because we did just see them play each other. Taysom Hill making his third straight start. I am so excited about Titans and Browns. That game, two teams there that are matched so well. Both run the ball really well. Both teams need to try and stop the run there. And then, of course, a big NFC West matchup with the Rams and the Cardinals at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. So now let's get things moving with the walkthrough presented by Uber Eats. And I want to start with that Kansas City game where the Chiefs offense has been popping all year long. Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, they've been unstoppable. The champs averaging a league-high 35 points per game over the last 6 weeks. Mike, Rob, you expect more of the same against this Broncos team?
Yes, I expect more of the same out of Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs team, but I don't think we're truly appreciating what we're seeing out of Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this guy could probably win MVP every single year he is healthy and with Andy Reid and with Eric Bieniemy. I mean, everything he does, he's good at, right? Even to the fact that the contract he signed, he was good at that, one of the richest contracts in pro sports, and he left some money on the table so that the team can sign other guys. I just don't think that we appreciate Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, you are amazing. I'm going to continue to say that as long as you're healthy and playing. I think he's this year's MVP.
MVP, Super Bowl winner. He's getting married. There's a baby on the way. He had that big fat contract. I mean, he's been having a moment now for like 3 years, Patrick Mahomes. So continued success to him. How about this one? This game I am so excited about. I think it's the most intriguing matchup of the week. Browns at Titans, 3 of the best backs in the league playing in this game. Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. How fun, unless you're playing defense, obviously. Both teams at 8-3. D-Hall, what are you looking for in this one?
Oh, man, Colleen, this is going to be a physical, old-school type of football game. You got King Henry here, who's the lead bell cow down there in Tennessee. And then on the other side, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, the dynamic duo, man. Like you said, those defenses are going to have to tackle. I saw guys turn down tackles against Derrick Henry. And so both teams, both defenses, man, they have to really come to play. This is going to be a physical football game. They're going to take some shots down the football field off of that run action. But I tell you what, being a DB, I don't want to be in this football game because it's going to be a lot of tackling those running backs on both sides of the aisle.
I cannot wait to see this game. I'm so excited about it. Also, this one as well. Jared Goff and the Rams against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Only KC has more yards of offense than Arizona, but they'll be challenged, obviously, against LA's second-ranked defense, headlined by Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Garofolo, what are you focusing on here?
Well, when you face the Cardinals, you got 2 problems that you need to solve. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Now, the Rams' plan seems to be that they are not going to spy Kyler Murray, at least not exclusively, because defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, who continues to do an excellent job in his first year as coordinator, said he's faster than your spy. So you've got a guy dedicated to him, and then he outruns him. It's like you're playing with 10 guys on the field, basically. So they're not going to do that. He says they also won't have Jalen Ramsey travel. Actually, Sean McVay's the one that said that. So Ramsey will handle his side on the field, which means Hopkins won't have to worry about matching up with Ramsey all day long. It's a bold strategy, Colleen. Let's see how it pays off. Wow. I screwed that line up.
I cannot wait to see how that works out. Finally, we got Falcons. Taysom Hill looking to win his 3rd straight start for the Saints since taking over for the injured Drew Brees. New Orleans has the best record in the NFC at 9-2, but the Falcons, they're sneaky right now. They're playing frisky, playing good ball, winning 4 of 6 under interim head coach Raheem Morris. Our James Palmer's covering this one and has more. James.
2 weeks ago, when the Saints and Falcons were playing, the marquee matchup heading into that game was Alvin Kamara versus the Falcons star linebacker Deion Jones. Not much has changed between the two, But perhaps things have changed now that Taysom Hill has been the quarterback for 2 weeks. First with Deion Jones. Talking to Falcons players this week, they believe he's not just a linebacker. He did have a 67-yard interception return for a touchdown a week ago against the Raiders. They say he is a playmaker. Well, he's going against arguably the best playmaker on the other side of the ball in Kamara, but things have been different with Taysom Hill. With Drew Brees, Kamara was getting targeted 36% of the time he ran routes, tops in the NFL. But with Taysom Hill, and it's just a small sample size, 2 games, and the game in Denver was different, he is only getting targeted 13% of the time he runs routes. He has 1 catch for -2 yards on 3 targets. The Falcons believe he is looking towards Michael Thomas much more than Alvin Kamara. The second time around, it's going to be interesting to watch that matchup and to see if Alvin Kamara starts getting looks from Taysom Hill.
Thank you, James. Your orchid, by the way, is doing great in the background. Hey, Saints offense still rolling without Drew Brees, averaging nearly 28 a game the last 2 weeks with Taysom. Yards per play, also very similar, and as you'd expect, a big increase in rushing touchdowns as well. But, D-Hall, Taysom Hill, he hasn't always looked great, but he's getting it done. So how will this Saints offense look against a Falcons defense that is improving and playing really well for this head coach?
Yeah, and just think about this Falcons defense, right? Last week against the Raiders, 5 turnovers they caused. I know Raheem Morris left that game feeling like, man, this defense showed up to play. We know that Atlanta can score points, and so I think it's going to be an advantage for these Falcons to have seen Taysom Hill one time already and kind of know the unconventional nature in which he's going to get outside the pocket sometimes. Yes, they're used to seeing Taysom Hill as a defense in different spots, but to have him now dropping back at the quarterback position, I think it's going to bode well that they have just seen him 2 weeks ago. And I really like the way this defense is coming together. You talked about rallying behind their head football coach in Raheem Morris, but this Falcons defense, man, they are really stepping up to the plate. They're getting after the quarterback. You just saw Deion Jones running that interception back. Deion Jones, to me, was the prototypical type of linebacker out of LSU. He could run, he'll hit you in the mouth. I mean, just a physical dude. So you see these Falcons starting to get healthy, and they're playing for their coach. They're trying to make a case for Raheem Morris to be the next head football coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
They have to feel good, too, about that win last week over the Vegas Raiders. I mean, that was such a blowout for them, so just a confidence booster. But for me, it's what James Palmer talked about, and it's the role of Taysom, it's the role of Alvin Kamara, and how it's really changed with Taysom Hill. Now, obviously, they're going to run the ball more, and, you know, the passing game isn't going to be the engine that makes this offense move, but that is what Alvin Kamara has been for this team. He's such a good player, and to see him not utilized the way that his skill set should be is kind of a disappointment at this point. Obviously, the Saints are more focused on the run, but as James Palmer alluded to, the last 2 weeks, Alvin Kamara only has 1 catch for -2 yards, and 10 weeks prior to that, weeks 1 through 10, 7.4 receptions per game. Only Devontae Adams had more. And now Latavius Murray is cutting into offensive snaps as well. So it's just a totally different look for Alvin Kamara.
It's a totally different look, guys. I mean, and at some point, they got to get the ball to Alvin Kamara. But I'm gonna go on the defensive side of things. This defense has been off the chain. I'm talking about for the New Orleans Saints, especially the pass rush. In the first matchup, I don't think they could block Cameron Jordan. I mean, he had 3 sacks in that last matchup. Just getting movement in that defensive line. All the line stunts that they do up front for the New Orleans Saints, they provided a lot of pressure on Matt Ryan. Now, if they can continue to provide that pressure this week and force some turnovers, I think Taysom Hill will look a little bit better this week than he did last week because, guys, I'm going to talk about it later on in the show. Taysom Hill, he did not look too well last week against the Denver Broncos.
Mike Rob, I'm talking about this defense for a couple of weeks now, this Saints defense. Matter of fact, when I did, as part of my mic drop segment a couple of weeks ago, something on what Dennis Allen has been able to do in New Orleans, I got a bunch of Saints fans actually come back at me on social, say, what are you talking about? They're terrible. They don't play well in the red zone. I mean, all kinds of, they're the #1 ranked defense in the league right now. And yeah, they'll probably point to, play Denver without a quarterback and yada, yada. I mean, it doesn't get any better than the #1 ranked defense. And look, they've got the Chiefs coming up in a couple of weeks. That'll be an interesting matchup. But I think that they are better equipped now than they were even a couple of weeks ago because of the addition of Quan Alexander, the linebacker that they acquired from the 49ers. I spoke to a couple of Saints folks this week who said he's brought an unbelievable amount of energy to our defense, and you could see that energy and that impact in the way that he and Demario Davis, the linebacker that they moved to the inside earlier, the way that those two have been playing. That has been a huge key for this defense and why I think that they are extremely well equipped down the stretch here to have this team in contention and into January.
And Quan Alexander's stats don't even show the impact that he's had on this defense. And when you look at the defense as a whole, they've only allowed, one touchdown over the last 4 games. Yeah. They have been playing incredible, and that's exactly what a guy like Taysom Hill needs, is for that defense to really show up. Now, the Saints will obviously have a tough time winning the playoffs without Breeze, a lot of people are saying. But do you buy that? Are you one of those people that thinks it, or is it just a myth? Later in the show, we're going to be blowing up myths. We're calling it Mythbursters, guys. So boom goes the dynamite. Send us yours at GMFB, and we'll look forward to reading the best ones out there. It's a competition.